one pair of 46-inch long Go treads folded up, can fit in the bag. And then we designed the bag to also accommodate a pair of XLs, the 58-inch long.
Yep.
Now, another big thing with the Go treads in comparison to the fixed boards is that a fixed board is roughly 46, 47-inch long, the Mac Tracks, etc. And that's our standard pair. Now, then we go with the XLs, which are 58 inches long. Okay, that in itself, there's nothing like it in the market.
Yep.
And then we said, well, you know what? You got guys that got bigger diameter tires, etc. Or for that matter, you just want more runoff. Then we said, okay, well, let's offer the 70-inch. So you have, with the Go treads, a 70-inch long traction tool. You got the ability now to actually get out of your situation and get some momentum before you actually come off of the traction tool to get going.
Are you into four-wheeling, camping, and exploring? How about off-road racing like mud bogs, short course wheel-to-wheel racing, or even desert races? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to 4x4 Canada podcast. My name is Wes, and I've been four-wheeling since I was 6 weeks old. I have over 20 years experience in 4x4 shops, many more than that in the off-road racing, and a lifetime of exploring the backcountry across Canada. Every week, we bring you a new guest where they give you their perspective on the industry. We discuss everything from four-wheeling, overlanding, every form of off-road racing across this great country, as well as we talk to Canadian manufacturers and 4x4 shops. Just a quick reminder that if you're looking for more episodes, you can find all of our episodes on 4x4canadapodcast.com or your favorite podcast sharing platform. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at 4x4canadapodcast.com. Now let's get to the show. Our guest today supplies top quality overlanding and recovery gear. While the company is small, the reputation for quality customer service and premium products is at the forefront. Kevin from StrikeForce67, welcome to the 4x4 Canada podcast.
Well, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So before we get into this, you can find StrikeForce67 on their website at strikeforce67.ca, and they're on Facebook and Insta as StrikeForce67. So as mentioned, StrikeForce67 supplies quality recovery gear and overlanding equipment. You're the Canadian distributor of Go Tread recovery boards. We've all seen the regular recovery boards like Mac Tracks and such, but the Go Tread recovery boards are unique in that they fold up for easier storage. Let's talk about the Go Tread boards, and are they actually a board?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we're not a board because we fold up, and like you said, we are compact. And there's one beautiful thing about them is that if you have a rooftop tent or you sleep in your truck, whatever it is, you can use them for leveling for your vehicle. And in comparison to a fixed board, even if you have a pair, you get way more leveling options and capability with Go Treads. So, and
yeah, that's one thing I noticed is that three different lengths. You got 46, 58, and 70-inch long boards, for lack of better terms.
Correct, yeah.
But they stack up, like the 46 will stack up to 4 inches high if you want it to.
Yeah.
Basically anywhere from 1 to 4 inch. And
That's
then
right.
your 58 goes 5 inches high, and your 70 goes 6 inches high if you want to go that high.
Correct.
Kind
That's
of idea.
Right.
So you can stack one section if you want, or you can stack all the sections.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what's really nice about the boards, about being compact is a great thing. So, as space in our rides, we all have to be cognizant, right, of what we're going to do. And the way I kind of got introduced to Go Treads is I was getting into overlanding, etc. And I didn't know what my setup was going to be. And I knew that I needed some kind of, initial traction tool to at least until I get my winch. I needed something. So I started looking around and, saw the fixed boards, and I kind of stumbled across Go Treads down in the States. And I started to think about it. I'm like, hey, you know what? Big fixed boards, if I don't know what my setup is, even if you do know your setup is, they do take a lot of space, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, you know what? I like the fact that they're modular. They come with a lifetime warranty. If you want to make it longer, you can make it longer. If something you spin out on them, you wear them down because of melting, because you spun on them, you can replace a section. And I'm like, okay, this all makes sense. So I bought a pair, and it was a lot of money for the shipping. It's the brokerage fees, that they hit you with. It's not the duties, it's the brokerage fees.
Yep.
When you're a consumer, they just hammer you. So anyways, I opened them up, took them out of the box, and I'm like, wow, these things are heavy duty. Like
Yeah.
they're heavy. Like these things are solid. And so anyways, I called them up and I said, like, do you have anyone in Canada? I bought them on your website, but do you have anyone in Canada? And they said, no. And so we had a couple of conference calls and, I'm an entrepreneur. It is what it is. And I said, sure. I said, I'd like to, see if I can move some product and, introduce this to the market. And so one thing led to another, and then boom, StrikeForce came to be. And I wasn't really looking for anything. It just kind of happened. And I said, well, this will pay for my new addiction here, overlanding. And the next thing you know, and I also said, it'd be a great way to meet people and network. And we've been around now 2 years and we've grown, and it's like been incredible. I met so many great people along the way. And I'm so glad I did this. And for me, it's not about the money. Yeah, it's nice to make some money, but I mean, just the meeting of people and the experiences and stuff like this, it's amazing.
Yeah, the whole overlanding crowd, or the whole four-wheel drive crowd itself, is just incredible. Everybody's out there to have a good time and help everybody out. And, and even like, we're talking off air about the van life crowd, and, your product fits in quite well with them. And same thing with them. They're a wonderful, crowd of people as well too. So one of the really nice things I do like about yours is the fact that they do fold up, and you also have a carry bag available as well to put them in. I mean, as cool as it is to have them hanging on the side, as cool as it is to show them off at the mall, for regular recovery boards hanging off the side of your vehicle, myself with the canopy and I sleep inside, the fact that I don't have the room, or I just don't like them hanging out the other side, kind of idea. And the fact that you have the bag is really nice, because if they do get muddy in that, you can stuff it in the bag and I can throw it in the truck, and I don't have to worry about everything else getting muddy or wet from the snow or whatever. So the compactability of them, I really think is a great idea.
Yeah, and what we've done with the bag now is the bag has been redesigned, and it can hold a pair of standard 46. So one pair of 46-inch long go treads folded up can fit in the bag. And then we designed the bag to also accommodate a pair of XLs, the 58-inch long.
Yep.
Now, another big thing with the go treads in comparison to the fixed boards is that a fixed board is roughly 46, 47-inch long, the Mac Tracks, etc. And that's our standard pair. Now, then we go with the XLs, which are 58 inches long. Okay, that in itself, there's nothing like it in the market.
Yep.
And then we said, well, you know what? You got guys that got bigger diameter tires, etc. Or for that matter, you just want more runoff. Then we said, okay, well, let's offer the 70-inch. So you have, with the Go Treads, a 70-inch long traction tool. You got the ability now to actually get out of your situation and get some momentum before you actually come off of the traction tool to get going and to firmer ground. So that in itself, I mean, can you imagine having 70-inch long fixed boards? My God, people think these are like, Bigfoot skis or something, right?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that's 6 inches, or that's 6 feet long, right? There's nothing like that in the market. That's longer than most pickup beds.
Exactly. So, and now we have another, well, we'll talk about the other stuff that's coming out, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I've got Tacoma 33-inch tires. So to me, the 58-inch seemed to be a really nice option. That's kind of what I was thinking, just because it gives you that little bit extra length over the regular boards. And we talked about the bags, and you said one pair of the 58s will fit in a bag now.
Yes, into the XLs will fit in the single carry bag. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So the other cool things I thought about the Go Treads is they are made in the USA, right? They're not an import. They're not a offshore. They're not China or Taiwan or whatever. They're actually made in the USA. And also they have a lifetime warranty against breakage. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So the warranty, we don't ask questions. Yeah. I don't care. If you send me a picture and it's broken, it's anything structural of that device. If it breaks, we warranty it. So people will send a picture and it's like, yeah, they broke a plate. Yep. Sure, not a problem. We accept it. That's all good. Boom, we just send them out a new plate.
Yep.
And I don't care what you did to it, if you whatever. So we don't ask questions. We want to see the pictures, because then we can send it back to engineering at GoTreads for them to assess. And sometimes we know what happened, right? We can figure it out. But yeah, they're repairable. So let's say, like I said, you spin on it, right?
Yeah,
it's repairable. You can, buy a plate, etc. And
that was leading me right. That was leading right into my next question. Yes, that you can buy just a plate, and if you, like you say, you spin the nubs off, or you spin them off, then you can repair that plate. Because if you do that on a regular board, once you spin those nubs off, they're sort
you
of
got a piece of plastic, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the way the GoTreads are designed, right? Like, they have these arcing. It's an arc that goes across, and that's what's getting. That's where the tire is biting on to the actual tool on the tire side. On the flip side of it, it is the reverse arc. So that's gripping the opposite direction to plant the traction tool, the GoTread, into the ground, right? So, and also when you set the GoTread, unlike a fixed board, if your wheel is, let's say, 6 inches, into the ground, in the mud, now you have this fixed board that's like on a 45-degree angle sticking up, hitting the bottom of your vehicle, right? Whereas the GoTread, because it's flexible, you put it in front of the wheel, you give it a kick to set it under the wheel, and then that is following the contour of the terrain. Okay.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get in your vehicle, and it's all about going slow on the throttle, as soon as you get some gas, it draws the GoTread underneath that tire. The tire sucks it underneath, and then it's double set, right? And it's already ready, following the contour of the ground. And it just works like magic.
Yeah, that's one thing that with the regular boards that I've found sometimes is it can be tough to get it. If you're looking ahead of your front tire, say, for example, and you're trying to get in there and it's a bit of an incline or something like that, it can be hard to get a fixed board, under that front tire. As, so with it being able to go, the GoTreads being able to follow the contour of the land kind of idea, it may be easier in that application. So,
yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think there's an interesting product. You see, everybody's got standard recovery boards, but I think this is quite interesting. The fact that they are stackable for leveling, they are portable, or they are small, and they're priced quite reasonably. I mean, the 46 inches, just over $200 for a pair.
Yeah. 205, I think it is, and then the GoTreads $255. And then I think the 70s, I forget off the top of my head, but I think they're still less expensive than a pair of Max Tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
They are less expensive.
And the fact, there is some cheap boards on Amazon, but in that aspect, you kind of get what you pay for too, right? I mean, there's the fact that there is it is a made in USA product, and it does have a lifetime warranty on it. And the fact that you can replace just certain parts of it, I mean, to me, that just makes sense.
Yeah. So the thing is too, is that, we have, there's, I want to be clear too, is that, there's never one magic bullet tool for everything. Well, I've done a lot with a vice grip, but like, if you have a pair of fixed boards, or, you have GoTreads, like, hey, if you decide that you want, a pair of GoTreads, you want a pair of fixed boards, actually, you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Right. And it's about being prepared for any situation. So it's not like, fixed boards are useless. GoTreads is better. No. I mean, just think it through. And sometimes people actually, a lot of people that I know have got fixed boards, and they got the GoTreads.
Yep.
Because the GoTreads are better for leveling the vehicle. And they know too that, hey, I can't bridge with a GoTread, right? Because it's flexible. So if you get into a bridging situation, you can drop your GoTreads in that little divot and then put the fixed board over it, and you got a solid, ability to drive over something. So, you'd be throwing rocks in there. Now you can just throw the GoTreads in there. So if you're on the ball and you're looking to be ready for whatever, and the amount of space they take up in your vehicle, and the price point and the warranty, it's a good investment.
That's you're bang on about that. But a month ago we were out and we come through this washout where we had to use the fixed boards as a bridge. And we were cutting down some dead trees to put in there because there's no rocks around, but we were cutting down some dead trees to lay across in that big ditch to help support those boards kind of idea, right? So you're right. There's certain applications where like crossings like that, the fixed board may be a better option, but it's actually a really good point about using them as a block underneath the fixed board. And that works great, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was on the trail with a bunch of guys who were running, and the guy in front of me, nice Jeep, he sliced the side of his front tire on the sidewall. And so anyways, we jacked up the vehicle and this and that, and I took my GO treads out and I used them as chalk blocks for the back wheels. Yep. Just to secure the vehicle, right? And and that's another really good use of them, is you can use them as chalk blocks in a situation. We did a recovery, and this guy, it was really weird, but he got a rock that actually rolled and lifted the entire front driver's side corner of his 4Runner off the ground. So he was on 3 wheels, stuck. And we're like, oh, how are we going to do this? So it was funny because I was at an event and I had a couple of boxes of GO treads in the back. And we ended up that we actually, used them as blocking, cribbage, if you wish, right? To secure the vehicle such that we could jack it up. And then, we had that as a safety kind of like situation, right? Like an axle stand. And you're able to get that big rock out and then safely work, right? And then lower the vehicle. So, yeah.
Would you be able to use those as, say, a base plate for a jack?
Absolutely.
Like, they'll hold that kind of strength or that kind of,
I would just put it on the one plate. You don't need to stack it because, they can move, right, and shift. But if you use it as, use just one plate, absolutely, you can use that for your hijack. Yeah, your lift. Yeah.
Yeah, for your jack base. Yeah, exactly. So sticking with the theme of recovery, I was looking on your website the other day and I noticed that you have some Kinetics tow ropes and soft shackles from Afraid Not Ropes. We talked to Ian from Afraid Not Ropes in Lucky episode 13. And Ian's a great guy, and he's got some very reputable made in Canada recovery gear. And really happy to see that you are carrying some of his products online so they can get some boards and also get some recovery gear from you as well.
Exactly. I mean, we just figured, we're kind of like in the recovery game there, of course, with the GO treads. And, sometimes where my site is going, his site is not. And it just kind of made sense, right? Yep. And, for us, when your purchases are over, I think it's like $250 or something like that, we pick up the shipping. And so if you're like, I want the rope, I want some soft shackles, the GO treads, it's becoming a very popular combo for people, just to click, 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 and I got it all. And his stuff is amazing. I mean, like you said, Canadian made, and his ratings, they're superior than other brands out there. And just the finish of them, right? And the price point too. Great price point.
Yeah, he had a video on his Facebook or his Instagram the other day where he's doing even more testing and different weaves and stuff like that. And some of the numbers he's pulling out when he's testing these recovery ropes is just incredible. It's and they say it's a very good product for a pretty good price. So I think it's a great idea with you carrying a bit more product, and we'll get into some of the other stuff that you're carrying and will be carrying as well. But I think those go hand in hand with the GO treads. I think pick up a set of GO treads, grab a Kinetic strap and a soft shackle, and especially with free shipping. I mean, hell, you can't lose with that, right?
I mean, Amazon spoiled us, right? So
and that free shipping goes all the way to BC and all the way to Nova Scotia,
right across Canada, man. Yeah, you hit the threshold, we ship it across Canada.
So let's go back to one of the other items that you've had on your website for a little bit, the Tailgater Tire Table. What's that all about?
So the Tailgater Tire Table, I've seen them around, right? And I really didn't give it much thought. And then I had the opportunity to go down to Overland Expo East in Virginia. And a few months back, and I'm across the people there, Ward and Patty, and I started talking with them, and man, like everybody was walking around the show with these tables, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'll buy one, right? I got back to the Tundra and I set it up on the driver's side tire. And I got a pickup truck, so I have the tailgate is a tabletop, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I was like looking, I'm like, hey, like that 5-gallon jerry can that's on my tailgate, I could put that on the tailgater table over there. And so I put that over there, right? And next thing you know, it's like, wow, I got 4 or 5 things on that table, and I really didn't give it much credit until I started to use it and how it takes so little space in your rig. And we just carry the aluminum one just because it's so light. And it's like, wow, like, this is a great tool.
So for our listeners, it's basically a table that has no legs. It attaches to your tire, and it's basically a loop that goes behind your tire, right?
Correct.
And that sort of stops it from falling. So there's a little table sticking out from your tire.
There is one leg. There's one leg in the front.
Okay.
And that leg, depending on the the ground, if it's very firm, you could put it straight down, or you counter
Cantilever.
Cantilever. There you go. Sorry, one too many whiskeys. So anyways, cantilever back to the rim or in front of the tire.
Yeah.
And you set it there, and it's good for any size. I mean, it goes across a lot of the markets. You got of course overlanding. Your Jeep guys. I mean, this is just magic for Jeeps. Okay, because now you just pull that up. It's one of the first things that you set up, right? Have a table. And then you have people that are in the RV scene. They got their camping trailers. Boom, they just clip the tire, onto the table, onto their tire. And then we've actually seeing it now too, is off-road mechanics, heavy, earth, big rigs, or, working on, whatever, they can set it onto the tire. And versus having their tools, their impacts or something like that on the ground, they can put it on this table, and it's steel. So it's just very durable, right?
Yeah. Something just popped in my mind. Would you be able to use it sort of as a step if you're working on the side on your vehicle, leaning over the fender? Or
no, we don't recommend that. No.
Okay.
No, I mean, it just for liability and stuff like that. It can hold a good little load.
Yeah.
But we don't recommend using it as a step or sitting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. So one thing that, and I apologize for bouncing around, but one thing that just popped into my head about the Go Tread, bouncing back to the Go Treads, is one thing that we didn't talk about very much, of course, is the van life and how it's a great option for them, but also for other people, such as truckers or things like that, right? So bouncing back to those Go Treads and the trucking industry, I noticed on your website, you've got some great videos about guys using them on trucks, if load and dock is icy or whatever. And that's another option, if some of our customers are truckers, it's a nice portable option for these guys too.
Truth be told, they were engineered originally over 20 years ago by Arnie Pinto. He's the man. And he engineered them for big rigs. That was what they were originally designed for. And that's why they have like a 50,000 pound load rating. And it was designed for them. For big rigs, we sell them to fleets, etc. Ontario Hydro, Hydro One, they have now just brought it into their stores for their guys that are running around in, the big F-250s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so they brought it on, and I'm in Sarnia, Blue Water Power. They have them, Yep. And the thing is that when you talk big trucks on the flat, if they come off the highway, the tires have, they have some warmth in them. They stop on packed snow. They melt a half inch into the snow, into that packed snow. They come to leave after they picked up their Timmy somewhere, and they're spinning. And all they need is a little nudge. That's all they need. Right? Yep. And the Go Treads is perfect for that. And that's what they were engineered for.
Perfect. Okay. Well, sorry, for that just popped in my mind again. Sorry about bouncing around on there a bit, but something just popped back in my mind. So let's talk about sea suckers. From my understanding, it's not candy. It's from my understanding, they're suction mounts where you can mount to your phone or your GoPro on the dash of your vehicle. And there's also a few other options with a loop that will allow you to run a rope through the loop so you can tie stuff down, kind of idea. Let's talk a bit more about those.
So Sea Sucker came to be because I came across, I'm always geeking out there and on YouTube and, looking at overlanding videos and this, that, the other thing. And it was in 21, the Vegas SEMA show. I was looking at, people that were uploading their walk around, and somebody, came across at the Sea Sucker booth. And I was like, I was looking at it and it was like, it's all about the vacuum mounts, right? So it's not a suction cup. It actually draws a vacuum. So you have to pump it. And
okay.
Yeah. So the 4.5-inch vacuum mount, if you wish, for, let's say, the GoPros and the cell phones, they have a holding power of 110 pounds per vacuum mount. Okay. And the 6-inch is 200 pounds. Okay. So Sea Sucker started off with making marine products. So fishing rod holders, okay, drink holders, tables for boats. And it eliminated the need to drill into the side of the boat, okay,
right,
and mess up the inside, right, the gel coat finish, all that kind of stuff. And so what was really nice is that you could have, a 3-rod holder over here, take it off and then stick it over there. Your 2-rod holder, you can just remove it and stick it over there. So that's what, for marine, it's amazing. And then they have their bike racks that vacuum mount to the roof or the glass of the vehicle, and they're universal. So it's like you don't have to get all these adapters and stuff like that, right? And the Tour de France out in Europe, they're the official supplier for racks for them.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. So it's the real deal. This is the real deal. So I'm looking at all that, and then I saw their little vacuum mounts with the D-ring on it, and I got to thinking, you know what? I think I could see something like that, in overlanding, where you want an anchor point. You're setting up camp, and geez, I wish I had an anchor point here, and you're tying into your rim or whatever. And I'm like, hey, you can put this on the side of the door, and you can rig something up, right? And so, and then I start to think and think, and then I'm like, hey, like the people call them bush cables or tree limb deflectors when you're on the trail, if you have really covered over trail. And you have the wires, right? They go from the front, the roof line, right, going down to the front fenders. And Jeep guys and the Land Rover guys run them and stuff, right? But not everybody wants them on all the time. And I start to think, wow, that's really cool if you can slap 4 of these and then get some cable with some turnbuckles. You can make branch deflectors, right? On any vehicle and use it off road. And as soon as you get back to the highway, you pop them off, right? And so I bought them for that. And anyways, I got to send some pictures of what I rigged up and put them on the website. But yeah, so they're really handy. They have a lot of applications. I use them I don't have a 270 awning or nothing like that on my Tundra. And I have also a Viking off-road kind of like overlanding type trailer. And it doesn't have an awning. So I bought a Moonshade, is the brand name, Moonshade. And I use the Sea Sucker vacuum mounts to secure that either to my truck, or I use them on my trailer. So I can, set up the awning, right, using those. So there's a lot of applications. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think of the limb risers. And I was thinking more of tying stuff down. So that totally makes sense for sure. And then, of course, like I say, you got the ones got the iPhone mount or GoPro mount for your dash as well. So, because that's one of the big things is a lot of times there's hokey things you can put on your dash to hold your cell phone or whatever, but there's not a lot of really great options. I mean, there's some stuff coming out, for the Tacoma and the Jeeps and that, but if you have other vehicles that are not as popular, like, Tundra or whatever, there's not as many options for no drill applications. So
that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, with the iPad for navigation, let's say, unless you go with like a nice RAM mount system and you're screwing some kind of brackets into your dash, that's cool. But sometimes people don't want to do that. So, if you are off-road or whatever, and you got your nav system up, Gia, whatever you're using, and now you can actually mount, right to the front windshield, curve the arm, and then have an iPad right there on the front. It's really cool.
And then take it out when you don't need it.
Exactly.
That's the nice part, right? Yeah, you don't have to have it there all the time, or it's not, not just an arm sticking out if you take your tablet out at night or whatever.
That's right.
So, yeah. So you've got a couple interesting things coming up for 2023. What are some of your plans for the next year?
Yeah, so we have different bags coming out for the Go Treads. They're going to be they're going to have a, for all you Molly fans out there, they're going to have a Molly back to them. And
Nice.
we had them in the past and they sold out, and got thinking about it, and so we redesigned it, so it's coming back out, and it's going to have the Molly on the back, but the front of it is going to be a clear panel, vinyl panel. So now when you mount them in your vehicle anywhere where, on your Molly setup, you're going to actually be able to see the Go Treads inside the bag. Now, that bag can also be used for other applications. Let's say you want that as your first aid. People can clearly see, that's first aid, or you have whatever you want to store in them. Actually, you can see it. Yes, I know military Molly bags are black and all that kind of good stuff. Yes. But you know what? This is nice that you could have it, that people can actually see it, what's inside of it. So we have that bag coming out. We're also coming out with, we'll call it a trasharoo bag. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what ours is specifically going to be designed is you're going to be able to take the tailgater tire table and slip it in the back side of the bag.
Ah, okay.
And
Perfect.
then it has its own little panel area that you can slide the table in. And then you'll have the whole front of the bag for, whatever you want to use it for, your garbage or, wood or whatever. And then, flip the flap over, right? So it's going to be designed to hold tailgater tire table. So we got that's coming out in the new year. And then with Ian, we're going to be carrying his low friction rings for winching. So yeah, that's coming out in the new year as well. What else is there? Yeah, that's about it. Really.
Definitely some other events coming up too, which we'll talk about in a second. But I really like that idea, the trasharoo bag with the tailgater, because that'll also add some stability to the back of that bag as well too, right?
So, it kind of gives it a frame.
Exactly.
Concept. Oh yeah, another thing too that we're coming out with is the work pad. So it's a work pad. So if you can imagine a tailgate of a full-size truck is basically the size of the footprint of a full-size truck tailgate, that when you sit down on it. So it's a pad that folds up. It's 4 sections. It folds up, and it's heavy vinyl, and you can use it as a work pad. So you're on your knees doing something on your truck. You got to crawl under it. It's almost 6 foot long. Nice. And then you can lie down, and then you can crawl under a vehicle. I use it when I jump into my truck so I don't bust my knees in the back of the truck, and I just pull that pad out, right? And I just crawl in using that pad, sitting, you're on the beach and put your towel over it, right? I mean, it's a piece of gear in my truck, that pad. I use it so much. It's incredible. So we're going into production on that bag too. On that.
It sounds like it's one of those things that you don't realize the uses for it until you have it. And then you're like, what did I do before this?
Yeah. It's kind of like, the person that invented sliced bread and put it into a clear plastic bag and said, your bread is sliced and it's going to stay fresher longer. Oh, geez, brilliant. I used to buy it as a loaf in a paper bag, and I used
Exactly. Yeah. No, that sounds like you got some really exciting things coming up. So once again, people can basically keep an eye on the website, StrikeForce67.ca, or on the Facebook and the Instagram there. So where did the name StrikeForce67 come?
I wanted kind of like a cool tactical look and feel to it.
Yeah.
And, StrikeForce, kind of came to mind. And, we have like a nice tactical feel to it. We have the sights that are part of our logo on the O. StrikeForce is kind of cool. And the 67, that's my birth year. So, so we incorporated the logo, the StrikeForce67.ca. That is the logo. So the .ca is always there in your face, right?
That works. I mean, it's nice and simple, and it works. So you're a proud supporter of the Wounded Warrior Canada organization. Let's talk about them for a second.
Yeah, no, I think it was on social media. I stumbled across them, and, I got friends that have served and stuff like that. And, so I kind of checked out their website, and I said, you know what, this is a really good cause, what they get into, providing support for our veterans as well as first responders, right? And, first responders, I mean, the reality is that these people, they see a part of society that the average Joe really doesn't, is not exposed to. And, it's not pretty. And so they offer a lot of support. And during COVID, because they did a lot of like public, events and golf tournaments and cycling events, during COVID, they really lost their ability for fundraising.
Right.
And so what I did is I'm an avid hockey player, goalie, and I saw that they were selling these hockey jerseys, and they were like what do we call it? The printing, sublimation, printed. And they were like just beautiful jerseys. And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, I think I can help you guys out, by just flexing my, my network in the goalie community globally, because I'm on a couple of websites. And I said, I can promote and we can sell these jerseys, and, we can generate some profits off of these jerseys. And that's what we did. And it ended up, we were just shy of like $4,000 selling jerseys to goalies.
That's awesome. That's
and
great.
We shipped them like Canada, US. There was a couple of guys in Europe and stuff like that picked them up. And so that's how I got connected with them. And, we do donations as well. And I think they're a fantastic cause. So Wounded Warriors Canada, check them out.
Yeah, and I've done a bit of research, and like you say, that it's not just former military personnel, but first responders as well. And I've got a number of ambulance and firefighter friends, and some of the horror stories that you hear are just incredible. It's like, I don't know how they sleep at night sometimes, kind of idea, right? So the Wounded Warrior Canada organization definitely, I think, is a great idea. They help with the guys that need help and the gals that need help.
That's right.
It's a great cause. Now, you're also a supporter of the Trillium Off-Road Recovery. They used to be the Aurelia Recovery Group. And we talked a bit about them with Ian from Afraid Not Ropes in episode 13. But let's remind our listeners about them.
Yeah, so Evan, he's one of the founders of Trillium. And Aurelia Off-Road in the beginning. And it's all about offering, people free of charge, getting people out of nasty situations that are, stuck off-road. So anything that is a non-maintained road or trail, they will go out and it's free of charge. You just put the word out there on your phone or whatever it is, and it's a network of people, and they all kind of converge on the situation and, help people get going again. And we've donated GO treads to them. They use them all the time. And it's, they're using a lot of winching and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
but nonetheless, there's situations where the GO treads do come in handy. And I know they retrieved the Bobcat once. That was hilarious. They retrieved this Bobcat. I mean, how much is that weigh? And they did it with GO treads.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
GO treads, a little bit of winching, and the guy was in there, giving a throttle and with the combination of everything, and thank God I'm out.
Yeah, I joined after I was talking with Ian, and I joined the group. I mean, even though I'm from BC, but just to sort of keep tabs on what's happening in Ontario. That's, part of my research in that. And they had a post a while ago where I think it was some tractors or something like that they recovered. And it's not just four-wheelers and not just side-by-sides or quads. It's basically anybody that needs needs help, right?
That's right.
So, and it is all no charge. It's a group of volunteers. If there's somebody, for all you Ontario, people, it's, somebody that's in your neighborhood that, pops up and says, hey, I need help. And there's always somebody in that, area. They'll come out and help, and they don't expect any costs, right? Or any reimbursement or anything like that. So great group of people from what I've seen, for sure. So,
yep, absolutely.
So what advice would you give to people who are new to four-wheeling?
For me, four-wheeling, my niche of that word four-wheeling is overlanding. And so what I say to people is, you don't need to go all hog and have these crazy off-road vehicles and stuff like that to do that. Just be prepared, get the essentials, and just get out there. Reach out in Ontario. Overland Nth is a fantastic organization. And, and just take your time getting into the sport, because you're going to find what works for you. You're going to see a lot of different setups. And, it's about just getting out there, getting involved, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree 100% with you. Something that, I've said on this podcast many times is that I think people should drive their new to them vehicle stock for like 6 months, learn the vehicle, get your basic recovery gear, whether it be, your recovery or your kinetic ropes or your
treads.
Go treads. That's what I'm trying to think of.
Yeah,
my head. But yeah, whether it's your kinetic recovery ropes and your go treads and just some of your basic stuff, and get out there, enjoy the vehicle stock, learn what the capabilities are, learn what your capabilities are. And then there's lots of great groups, like the Trillium Off-Road Recovery Group, or even the Four-Wheel Drive Association in Ontario. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But they've got lots of, good points there. The Overland North crew is another really good option, I think, for a lot of new people. And we're going to have Luke and Christian from Overland North coming up in a couple weeks here on the episode to talk about their events coming up. And they've got 3 events coming up in 2023 that have been released so far. They've got the winter one in February. I think it's February 11th or something like that at the Motorsports Park, which to me is totally mind-blowing that people want to do an Overland Expo in the middle of winter. But, it does make sense to me because a lot of us do go wheeling in the winter. So it's, it does make sense to me, but it's still mind-blowing. And I think it's a great initiative on their part. But they've also got the other 2 events. One is Albion Hills. Yeah, June. Yeah. And Albion Hills. And then the other one's September. And that one's up north, right?
Yeah, that's up in Muskoka. Yeah.
And you've been, I know that you've been there as a vendor before. And I think that anybody that's looking to get into anything 4x4 or Overland related in Ontario needs to go to these events.
Especially the June one, because that is becoming kind of like in the US, there's the Expo Overland series of shows. Yeah. And Christian and Luke can tell the story about them and how they came to be. But it is that's what they've actually been able to kind of get to that point, is having a nice event where you camp with people for a weekend. There's education, you see the vendors, and most importantly is just, grabbing your beverage of choice and walking around and meeting people and looking at people's setups and, thinking, wow, that's pretty crafty, because a lot of stuff that people do, they buy something and then they modify it, right? To suit their vehicle. And it's like, wow, I never thought of that, right? And it's so cool, and everyone's there to say, everyone's friendly, everyone's there to learn and exchange ideas and have a good time. So
that's great. And are they, I know the ones in BC and Alberta, they have little trail rides where you can go out. Rides, So if somebody is new, they can go out and experience some of these trail rides with a group of other people that will be there to help support them if they're a little unsure or anything like that. So, but they also have some classes during the day, I think, too, right?
That's right.
It's, to me, that
of it is great.
Yeah, they have, some of the driving or whatever. And then they've also got other classes, communication or whatever, right? So definitely an idea to check those out for sure. So once again, we're talking to Kevin from StrikeForce67, and they are a distributor of, as you've probably heard throughout the show, a distributor of quality overland and recovery gear. You can check them out at strikeforce67.ca. Or on the Facegram or Facegram or Facebook or the Instagram. And once again, it's been a pleasure having you on board. One last question that we ask every guest on the show is, what Canadian would you like to listen to on the 4x4 Canada podcast?
I didn't know about the Overland North and Christian and Luke, but having them on the show, wow, that would be just amazing. Like these guys, what they've been able to do for the sport and the community out there is just fantastic. So yeah, have them on the show, and if you can do that, wow.
I'm super excited about it. We've been going back and forth, and we've been bouncing ideas off each other, and they've been telling me some things that not a lot of other people know, kind of idea, right? And it's just, it's been really exciting. I'm super excited to have them on board for sure. So, and then you've also, off air, we were talking about our buddy Chrome.
Van City Van Life.
Yes. Yeah. Chrome, for those of you who don't know, is a van lifer. Basically, he has a YouTube channel called Van City Van Life, and he's got like a bajillion followers.
Last I looked, he was like, in the summer, he was like 250,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just incredible. He does these little short ones pretty much every day. He does a little episode kind of idea, and it's just, he's traveled across Canada a couple times, and he's not just a van lifer, but as Kevin and I were talking before the show off air, that he's a off-roader, four-wheeler at heart too, right? He's got his 4x4 van, and he would prefer, rather than spending his channel's Van City Van Life, but he prefers to be outside in the nature, away from people. And so he's definitely, we're talking, like I said, we're talking before the show, and I definitely want to get Chrome on board, and he's definitely on my list of people to interview. I think he's a really interesting guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he's got many stories. He's met a lot of people across Canada, and he's so genuine, and just the situations, the encounters that he has with people. It's just amazing. You love Chrome. He's a great guy. It's as simple as that. He's
the dog.
Oh, absolutely. And what's really cool is that he is the van life cross with the overlanding. Like overlanding and van life, there is actually a sector that those Mercedes Benz, right? That are four-wheel drive, and so now they're like van life / overlanding. Like they merge them together. It's like. To truth be told, I gotta say that the way I see myself going at some point, I think I'd really like to get a rig like that. When I'm 65, I don't have to climb up a ladder into a rooftop tent or something like that. I could literally, go out there with my 4-wheel drive Mercedes, and that very capable, and just like put it in park. And then just get up and walk to the back.
There's one about 8 doors down from me, 10 doors down, and I drive by it every day. And it's a nice silver 4x4 one, and he's got the rack on it, he's got the bumpers, everything like that. And I'm like, oh, he's got it parked right, in storage right now. But every day during the summer, I drive by it, and I'm like, oh, that's just perfect. Like I agree. As I get older, if I don't do my yoga or my stretches every morning, I'm screwed for the next day kind of idea, right? So, eventually I know that I'm not going to be able to, go up in the rooftop tent or hop into the big rigs. And I can totally but I still want to get outside and explore, right? So I can totally see myself getting into one of those.
Oh, yeah.
I just got to be able to afford it though, too.
It's... Yep, you're gonna have to save your pennies.
Sell the house and go on the road full time. Once I retire. Yeah. Once again, we're talking to Kevin from StrikeForce67, and not only does he ship from Ontario and service Ontario very, very well. You've heard our conversations about people in Ontario, like the Overland Nth crew and Ian from Afraid Not Ropes, but he also ships across Canada. And as we mentioned earlier, it's $250 free shipping across Canada, and great products. And I'm really excited to see what you're going to bring in the new year.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Kevin. I really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you very much.